Hello, the Royal Ballet opened its autumn season at Covent Garden last week. Expectations are running high. After a slow period in the late 80s, the company is currently thriving. Despite problems at the box office, attributed with some cause to a below-par subsidy, critics have noted a new vitality. This excitement owes much to a new generation of Royal Ballet stars, particularly two young ballerinas who've emerged to remarkable reviews, Viviana Durante, who's 25, and Darcy Bussell, who's 23. Both women trained as children at the Royal Ballet School. Both have risen through the company's ranks. Bussell is English, Durante is Italian. They're so different in style that you can't make direct qualitative comparisons, but through these two very distinct dancers, we look into what it means to be a ballerina in London today.
People always see ballet as pretty girls on stage in pretty costumes with long legs or, lovely arms and things like that. But it's completely different. When you get into rehearsals, you get all sweaty and your muscles ache. And sometimes you feel, I don't want to do this, I hate this, I don't feel pretty, I feel ugly,
Good. Away from the glamour of Covent Garden, Baron's Court is the Royal Ballet's daily workplace for class and rehearsal. Ballet training has to start young, and both Viviana Durante and Darcy Bussell began their formal training at the Royal Ballet's own school, White Lodge, in Richmond Park.
And ribs, careful. Good girl, better. 1, supporting heel forward.
The children come to White Lodge at the age of 11, and they stay, those that are successful, until 16.
Good girls. Balance. Now smoothly up to fifth. Hold. Back.
We're looking for a particular type of body, proportions, line, feet.
Heels. Good girls.
Terribly important is tradition there. A lovely route in the middle of this beautiful park where the tradition of the English school can be kept and preserved. And the children go there at the age of, I think it's 10 or 11, to serve their country as their national dancers for the rest of their lives.
Ninette de Valois founded the Royal Ballet School in 1931 to provide the company with a steady supply of dancers trained and disciplined to the highest standards. Now recognized as one of the world's top ballet schools, it draws students from all over the world.
Which characteristic is controlled purely by the genes people inherit?
C.
Correct, yes.
There's a cat looking in, and there's a dog looking out and a cat looking back, so it's like a two-headed like cat-dog kind of thing.
Entrance is highly competitive for both boys and girls, and those who get in still face stiff annual reassessments. About a third of the students fail to complete the course. After showing early promise, Viviana Durante left her home in Rome at the age of 11 to come to White Lodge because it offered the very best training.
You're going home this weekend?
When I got to White Lodge, I was very, very homesick because I couldn't speak the language, which is, you know, suddenly, obviously, I lived at home all the time, and suddenly I was in the middle of, I mean, no one could talk to me, or maybe I couldn't talk to them. I couldn't sort of tell them how I was feeling and everything. The only time I actually felt at peace, it was when I did class or whatever.
One day, another teacher and myself were walking into the salon to pass through to our office. And as we were passing through, both of us stopped in our tracks and looked at this remarkable child. She has a lovely physique, proportions. She's very good looking. She has everything, actually, that one would expect for a traditional look of a ballerina. Many children actually have these things. What makes the difference is this fantastic motivation.
I think I've always had an image of what I wanted to be like, and I have a standard at which I want to reach. I've always had that in my mind, and I think I do work very, very hard, basically because I love dancing, and I'd like to do it, you know, my way.
Darcy's a little different. She didn't arrive until the third year, so she was not as well organised, shall I say, as the other children when she first got here.
Really stretched when you do those piqués. Don't let your foot go soggy. Now, nice strong toes. Tuck and tuck. Show arabesque.
I think it's absolutely essential to arrive at class having all your equipment, your shoes for girls nicely darned and the ribbons on. Everything has to be prepared and ready from a very young age.
Pull your arm at the bar, Jane.
When I came into White Lodge, everybody been there for 2 years, so they got used to the routine and going to class every day and coming back and tying their hair back and being constantly, you know, in spring condition and everything. But being so far behind in the actual ballet was a real strain. And I used to cry in classes every morning and think, why am I here? And they sometimes say, well, maybe you're not very suited to this. And I go, no, I am, you know, trying to support myself.
Despite these early doubts, Bussell had a triumphant breakthrough in the 5th year at the school's choreographic competition.
She was able to perform and hold the attention of the audience. Beautiful line, beautiful expression. And I have to say everybody was extremely touched. We could see at that time just how exquisite she was. There's a naturalness and openness in her movement, which is, for me, quite different from anything I've seen before.
At the end of White Lodge, both Durante and Bussell passed the next major hurdle, the auditions for the upper school. Based at Barons Court, the upper school shares a building with the Royal Ballet Company. Here there's a new element of competition, as the students are drawn from several different schools besides White Lodge. At the end of 2 years, a select few will win places in the Royal Ballet.
One of the disadvantages, I think, to having come all the way through the school with the same group of people is that some people are then fearful of leaving their peer group. They're afraid of being seen to be too ambitious apart from their group, and they sometimes find it hard to see themselves as individuals. Sometimes it takes a young dancer quite a few years before they feel they can emerge.
Only 2 or 3 girls from each class get through to the Royal Ballet. Durante won her place aged 17, only to find herself in another large group, the corps de ballet.
You're very restricted when you're in the corps, because obviously you have to keep in line, you can't really move and dance your fullest because you always have to be exactly the same as someone else in front of you. And unless someone does give you that chance, you know, sometimes even though you're the most talented girl ever, you might not be seen.
After 4 years, Durante got her big break in a spectacular Covent Garden debut when Principal Maria Almeida was injured during a performance of Swan Lake.
And Anthony Dowd came up to me and said, you know, Viviana Maria's hurt herself. I mean, how much do you know of the role? Can you go on stage and do it? And I just said yes. I mean, I had an idea of it because obviously, you know, I'd seen it a lot of times, but of the fourth act, I really did not have any idea of what I was doing.
I mean, anybody can be given a lucky break and not handle it, but she took all of them, and she did a lot of ballets at very short notice. She did Ondine at about a week's notice, she did Sleeping Beauty at a day's notice, and she did Swan Lake at 5 minutes' notice. And she wasn't learning those roles. I mean, she wasn't even down to cover them.
I think one of my special gifts is that I have a photographic memory. I tend to look at something and I can learn it very quickly. So obviously that helped, because I had seen, you know, Swan Lake a lot of times.
Dancers emerge because of talent, something special. There's always something that can't be taught or created. It's something that person has. The first performances were very impressive, and it was on the strength of those that I made her a principal.
In the case of Darcy Bussell, her promotion to principal came when she was just 19, after choreographer Kenneth Macmillan chose her as the star of his new ballet, Prince of the Pagodas. He'd first spotted her at the school.
Of course, she's taller than most dancers, so that's one reason you notice, but also she had this wonderfully sunny personality. She had a refreshing attack to her movements, which is not typically English. It's the sort of thing I've seen in America. And I was stunned by what I saw. And then I remembered her, and when I came to do Prince of the Pagodas, I asked if I could create the leading role on her. The role, technically, was extremely demanding. I don't think I'd ever worked with a female who had such a fantastic technique, an enormous attack, and speed, and of course she has the most wonderful jump. This was very challenging for me, but the dancing was phenomenal, and I think it's quite hard for someone to follow her in that role.
So from being a junior member of the Royal Ballet's touring company, Bussell suddenly found herself a principal of the main company.
I think for the whole year I was in a state of shock. It was very hard because nobody knew me at the Royal Ballet, and they were like, who's this person coming? Everybody at Sadler's were saying things like, look out for so-and-so, she's bitchy, and she'll put glass in your point shoes, she'll be one of those kind. Obviously they were curious in me. They had all eyes on me and like, And I felt that, but after a while I settled in and they were really sweet. I think I was probably expecting such worse things to happen to me that it was quite a relief when they didn't.
I think the main thing is coping with all the stress, and it's just keeping yourself, like when you're out of the theatre. I mean, this is what I tend to do. I tend to mix with different people, maybe, and maybe have other interests. Also, I like being on my own as well. I don't get too much involved with people in the company. I think that's what helps me.
Every generation has its group of rising stars who have to find their place within the company.
We had a lot of ballerinas, my generation. We were a particularly fortunate generation. But then when you get so many each, you've got rivals in a way, in that you see somebody can do this, so then you create a different ballet, and it generates greatness. It doesn't work against it to have rivals. It generates people's individuality. You hone yourself down to be your own self, not to be a second somebody else.
Darcy looks particularly good in, say, the Balanchine repertoire, and certainly in the Forsyth piece that the Royal Ballet recently acquired, partly because they both demand such extreme positions from the dancer's body, and she's that flexible and that strong. I think, too, she has a sort of toughness, a frankness, a kind of very easy sexuality on stage that fits very well with that kind of work. You know, she's not reticent, she's not delicate, she's not shy.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. That is hard. I know it's hard, you know. You know what? Are you sitting up and taking his hands? Are you trying to do... No. When you go back, you open your legs, come, and now take his hands. Yeah, that's it. That's correct. Use your tummy. Pull her. Can you grab her? Can you grab his wrist or something? Would that help? Maybe. Yes, good. How's that? Wait for it. Foot.
The thing that you can't miss about Darcy is that she has these incredibly long and very strong limbs.
Up, steady, down, and go.
She has such control that she can hold a position and then move into it with amazing grace and strength, so that what you get a sense of is these beautiful, beautiful shapes.
Good, go on.
Viv's actually built more like an English dancer in that she's very tiny, she's very elegantly proportioned, she moves very fast, very brilliantly. She's actually been coached a lot by Antoinette Sibley, and she has something of that rather expressive, lavish quality that Sibley has. Purely on the level of technique, Viv looks wonderful in Ashton's Thais because she's so light. Literally, her partner can kind of handle her through the air with her looking like a figment of his imagination rather than a real woman. She can do all those tiny, brilliant, graceful steps beautifully.
Even once you've reached the highest rank of the company, the competition is still fierce. Durante and Bussell have to share out performances with 5 other principals, and there are always deserving soloists coming through.
So keep close.
Having been a principal himself, Director Anthony Dowell understands very well the difficulties of company patronage.
I suppose I am literally looking after the artists, and that's why it's such a responsibility. I have their sort of career hopes and fears in my hands. It is, of course, my eye and my taste and what I feel about them that rules it, so I can mould it how I want.
Everything that happens here is based on personal opinion. I mean, it's not like you can plug into the computer and say who deserves X, Y, and Z, or who's got the best results in the exam. It doesn't work like that. And it's really a case of a group of people or one person deciding the way things should be.
Of course, there are people that I am drawn to because I feel that they're going to interpret what I create very well. And there are others that are not chosen by me, of course, are going to feel let down and depressed. And I remember myself as a dancer, when I wasn't chosen for something, I took it very personally, and I thought the director hates me. And it wasn't that the director hated me, it was because I wasn't within the scheme of the director's plans. That's part of being a dancer, is the disappointment and the joy.
when you come to a ballerina, she is there to portray the past, the beauty of the past, the beauty of tradition and development. So she's got to have a very extra talent to do that on top of her own natural talent.
Ballerinas aren't just great dancers, they also embody the whole sort of mystique of the profession. They seem like creatures set apart from the rest of us, really. They sort of breathe a different air. And then when you see them in public, traditionally they've always been incredibly glamorous women. I mean, if you look at pictures of Pavlova, you know, she never looks kind of dowdy or messy. You know, and if ever you met Margot Fonteyn, you really just felt like curtsying. You know, they did seem like princesses. I think it's hard to imagine either Viviana or Darcy having that same extraordinary aura as Pavlova or even Fonteyn. I mean, democracy and feminism haven't hit the ballet world that hard, but, you know, they're around enough for it to be difficult for a young woman today to kind of think of herself or exude that sort of princess kind of aura.
Thank you, Peter.
It's just that I can't go over 30. Yeah. So I think my wheels are unlevel or something.
People don't dress so grandly. Dancers don't swan around in furs and diamonds. They wear jeans and trainers like everybody else. So the days of the really grand, the really ethereal ballerina are probably over.
But ballerinas today have a different kind of glamour. Both Bussell and Durante model for designers such as Jasper Conran and are photographed regularly for the glossy magazines.
So this will go down very well.
This will be perfect then, won't it?
It will be perfect.
And put your foot up on the toilet like that's it, and just sort of stretch it out. That's lovely. Looking up the square a bit more. Stretch your toes out, maybe go further. That's it, that's better. Good, that's great. Good. If anybody can, you can do that's it. They wear image.
Very smart.
Do you want to try some other jackets on?
Okay. That Viviana and Darcy, living in the 1990s, might find it really difficult engaging with the heroines of the 19th century classics. But these are the roles that are the touchstone of any ballerina's career. These are the roles that they'll ultimately be judged by, particularly in this country, because the classics are very, very important to the Royal Ballet's repertoire.
Just a bit flat to me. Yes, just coming forward, yes. Looks...
We went to Viviana's final rehearsal the day before her first performance as Giselle, in which she was partnered by the Russian star Irek Mukhomedov. Anthony Dowell was taking the rehearsal.
So one plays it very much how the artists want to handle it. Naturally, there's a nervous tension. They don't want to fire on both engines, as it were, before the show, because they want to keep it in reserve. So it must be very much for what's been troubling them with their thoughts. Also involved in this rehearsal will be my longtime partner, Antoinette Sibley, who Viviana has a great rapport with. Antoinette is a great admirer of her qualities, and so it's a very healthy relationship. And it's very good to tap the old resource, I don't mean old, but I mean the past resources of the company, of what they have learned on stage and what I've learned on stage. So it's a sort of dual rehearsal.
I know you're different heights and everything, but see, when we used to do it, we had after that, I don't know if the heights are wrong, but do it, Anthony, from where she protects. Here.
I was like this.
There. And then as he came down and did that, I just used to rest my head like that, like against him.
Sometimes it's quite tricky if you have two people going at one artist. But Antoinette and I have worked together so much, and we sort of think the same way.
You're both together in a mood. It's lovely. Yes, that's lovely. And then when she called you see, Viviana. I love rehearsing with her. She's so responsive. She listens, she's quick, she understands, and she immediately puts it into being. She's innately musical for a start. She looks ethereal, she looks frail, passion there. She's a lovely actress. You can believe in her right from the beginning.
One of the classic 19th century ballet stories, Giselle is a peasant girl who dies of a broken heart after being betrayed by her nobleman lover. She forgives him, returning as a spirit creature to protect her lover from danger.
Save that for tomorrow too.
I think most 19th century ballets, if you simply told the story, they would sound like trite little fairy tales. But in fact, they've all got their roots in much older myths and legends. They're all what feed into those ballets and really what makes them far more profound than just a sort of bit of tinsel and tutu, which is how they're perceived sometimes by people who haven't seen them. But I think if you've seen a great production of a 19th century classic, you really feel the resonance of the story. And I think that's what a great ballerina should do. She should really make you feel the power of the world she's inhabiting.
The biggest difference, of course, between the ballets of the last century and this, I try to make everything on the stage more real, in a very stylized art form. The women are still up on point like they were in the last century, but I want to tell the audience everything about the characters I put on the stage. Certainly, I emphasize the sexuality of the female dancers in my ballets, because women are sexy, and why shouldn't they be? And why should they be ethereal creatures? They're not.
There was an amazing moment when Viviana first appeared with Eric Mukhomedov in their debut performance of Manon, when we suddenly saw this fantastically emotional, reckless, passionate woman. And it was like, you know, the dam burst, and now she is proving herself an amazingly dramatic actress.
When I started doing the dramatic roles like Romeo and Juliet, and then it was Manon, and that's when I really started feeling myself. I guess I'm really finding out about myself now. I'm finding out what I really want, who I am, and I'm admitting to my feelings a lot more. Obviously, working with different people, and especially Antoinette Sibley, Anthony Dow, I mean, they have helped me a great deal.
Don't forget the four is in between.
Different people have helped me as a dancer, but I think my main is being myself.
Got enough. Remembering it will get a weeny bit bigger.
No, it's quite soft stuff, isn't it?
This is the most comfortable one.
Yes.
The rest are like concrete.
Yes, they are, I know that.
This year also saw Darcy Bussell's successful debut as Manon, continuing her much-admired new partnership with Hungarian dancer Zoltán Solymosi, who's recently joined the company.
Zoltán himself is taller than a lot of young men, and Darcy, we know, is about 5'7", 5'7.5". She needs a tall partner, and both of them are extraordinarily strong, but they also have a tremendous fluidity in their muscles, in their movements. They both are capable of being very powerful, but also soft. There's a gentleness in their bodies. And I think that the surprise comes that out of something that can be one moment rather understated, and suddenly it's like a bomb going off.
In the case of Manon, their height posed real problems in rehearsals. The ballet had been created on two much smaller dancers, Anthony Dowell and Antoinette Sibley.
When you choreograph something on two bodies that are different than yours, it's very hard to put the movements together to look the same kind of lines and the same forms.
And from the bourrée, you've got to pick under this leg.
And when me and Zoltán started learning it, it was very hard because we were so much taller.
Pick her up, well, spin her round, you turn round. Now, you've got to feed her out in a fish. Sorry, I'll show you this. Sorry. Up here. And fish. But keep this behind the knee, sweetheart. No, behind your knee. There, that's it. And you put her down, kneel, kiss. She put it out, not too fast. Oh.
And some things were really quick, and it was hard to get around them because obviously being that bit longer makes a little bit more time. Some things had to be slightly slower for us.
And put her off balance there. Off balance by now. Oh! Just, you've got to do a bit.
10 days to go before their first performance in Manon, and they were still measuring out the right pacing for the higher lifts during the love scenes. Their difficulties were compounded when Solymosi fell ill the weekend before their opening. Underprepared, the couple still had to perform to a full house at the dress rehearsal.
And still having to do the rehearsal on stage in front of, friends of Covent Garden and everything. And you never want to be seen badly, of course. When you do your show, you want to feel confident. And knowing that people are watching you and there was photographers out there, and even though people knew that we probably weren't ready because Zoltán had been out.
Beginner's course. Zoltán, Shoei Moshi, who is dancing the role of De Greux, is recovering from a viral infection and will not, therefore, possibly he might not dance full out.
It was a horrible feeling, you know, you felt nasty, you know, you wanted to get off stage, you didn't want to be there. But you knew you had to try the stage out. If we hadn't done it, our show might have not been so good. People don't realize, you know, they think, you know, it's just like a 9-to-5 job in a way, but you have shows in the evening. And maybe meeting a guy or a friend or anything and telling them, oh, sorry, I can't go out tonight, you know, I've got to sew my shoes or something. And they think, you know, just a minute here, that sounds a bit weird. But you know, you've got to be disciplined about those things because you don't want to let yourself go because you can't, not the ballet.
It's just so exhausting. It really is so tiring that you can't be out every night as well as dancing every day. And in fact, when you do that, which I then decided after my first marriage had finished, I thought, well, I now have to get myself together again for my own life, as opposed to my dancing life and my own life. And so I did start going out and partying and doing all the things I'd never been able to. And I was constantly ill. You can't mix the two, really. And then I equally well made the decision to have the child. And I longed for that baby at that point, longed for it. And equally as well, when I'd had that baby, I longed for another baby. Because you've got to be a woman as well.
The Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, performance home of the Royal Ballet since the war. Here the company gives over 100 performances a year. Every season the wardrobe department works on up to 3,000 costumes for a company of 80 dancers.
Let the hem down.
They get through nearly 7,000 pairs of shoes and 2,000 wigs. In addition to their daily workload of rehearsals, Bussell and Durante dance in at least 50 performances a year.
Yeah, I think it's better. On stage, I do feel different. I feel as if something else comes out of me. In real life, I really do look and sound terribly different. I'm very shy. But on stage, I can almost do anything. Like, you know, I can just let myself go in any role, and it just can completely take over me. It takes me to a different world. Like, I hope I do the same to the audience.
Okay, voilà.
It's completely different from what you realise when you're a kid. When I was young, I thought of all pretty and pretty costumes and pretty ballet shoes. When you get older, it becomes much more deeper. It's more of like your heart, and it's like bringing a feeling out instead of all the prettiness. I mean, that's all lovely, but it's more grit, guts and stuff. When you're dancing, it's more of a passion, I'd say. Sometimes I get so carried away, you feel nobody's there, and you'll be in your own world.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your run on Act 1 beginner's call. Act 1 beginners to the stage, please. Miss Durante to the stage, please. Miss Durante to the stage, thank you.
It comes off when you say take it.
Are you going upstage or downstage?
No, upstage. Go to. Go upstage.
Alex, go.
Best obviously is at the end when everyone just is applauding at you. That's what we dance for. It's such great excitement. It's just brilliant.
Well, it takes quite a while to wind down because obviously you're on a complete high. Sometimes when you've had a few nights of shows, you'll just want to get in your car and go home and take all your flowers with you and put them in water and just get in the bath and just completely relax. Admittedly, it's like, you come out of this magical box in a way. You obviously have the thought in the back of your head of what you've just done. But then it's coming back to reality and everything's, you go home and there's your bills on your desk and things like that, It's back down to earth, out of the clouds.